The Texas Hill Country is one of the most beautiful places on earth. In this podcast, recent Hill Country resident Tom Fox visits with the people and organizations that make this one of the most unique areas of Texas. Join Tom as he explores the people, places, and their activities of the Texas Hill Country.
This is Tom Fox. Welcome to the Hill Country Podcast. I fell in love with the Texas Hill Country when I came to Camp Stewart for boys in the late 60s. I thought it was the most beautiful place on earth I had ever seen. The Hill Country is just that. Rolling hills as low as 500 feet and as high as 3,000 feet. Rock, granite, conifers, firs, and the most beautiful landscape, bluffs, and rivers I've ever seen. I'm going to explore the people, places, and things of the Hill Country in this podcast. My guest in this episode is Karen Taylor. Karen is the Executive Director of the West Kerr County Chamber of Commerce. We look at what West Kerr County consists of, what makes it so special, some of the annual events that the West Kerr County Chamber of Commerce either puts on or participates in. We also talk about our joint love for this part of Texas, the Hill Country. Karen moved here from near Corpus Christi. She's worked in the area for many years. We consider why people move to the Hill Country, the business climate of the Hill Country. What's it like for a newly located business in the Hill Country, and why families should move to the Hill Country. It's a great podcast with someone who has been around the Hill Country for many years and now evangelizes about her passion for the Hill Country from the business perspective. You want to find out more about the Hill Country, Kerr County, or West Kerr County, you'll enjoy this pod. This is a passion project for me. I absolutely love where I live and hope I can communicate my love of the Hill Country to you in this podcast series. Thanks so much for listening. Hello, everyone. This is Tom Fox, and welcome to another edition of the Hill Country Podcast. Today I have with me Karen Taylor. Karen is the Executive Director of the West Kerr County Chamber of Commerce. First of all, Karen, welcome, and thank you so much for taking the time to visit with me today.
Well, thank you for coming and letting us visit with you.
So, Karen, could you tell us a little bit about your professional background and what's your current role?
When I left Shriner in May, I was contacted by the chamber, and they asked if I would come and help them out. And so now here I am, Executive Director of the West Kerr County Chamber of Commerce, and I'm absolutely loving it.
For those of our listeners who don't know, what is Kerr County, where is it, and how big is it?
Kerr County is very large, and I think the population's about 46,000. I'm not positive. But West Kerr County goes from Ingram West to the western county line. And actually, West Kerr County is about half of the county.
So for those who don't know, Kerr County is actually huge. I was stunned to find out just how big it is. But what makes West Kerr County sort of unique, or at least different from the rest of the county?
Well, Kerrville is the major retail center of the county. However, the major tourist attractions are in West Kerr County. You know, we have Stonehenge, we have camping, the summer camps, we have the Hill Country Arts Foundation, we have many bed and breakfast, restaurants, wine bars, social gathering bars, and we have a huge retiree base in this portion of the county.
In fact, we met at the craft fair at Stonehenge a few weeks ago. What are some of the events of West Kerr County that either you participate in or that you just attend because they're so much fun?
The Texas Arts and Crafts Fair, like you said, and that one's huge. We had a little over 3,000 people in attendance. And, you know, after COVID shut everything down the prior year, it was really wonderful to be able to see people out and about again. We also have the Celtic Festival, and I don't know if you were able to come to it a couple of weekends ago.
I was out of town for it.
It was wonderful. A lot of men in kilts, and lots of bagpipes, the Highland Games. It was really, really a great event. We also have, for the chamber, we have our annual meeting banquet where we celebrate our members. The annual banquet is also our fundraiser. And we have monthly mixers where members gather in a social setting at one of the members' places of business. And we have a member of the month that we draw from a hopper, and that member gets to display a sign or a banner in front of their business for the month. And other than that, we have the rivers and the dam, and West Kerr County is just magical. When I moved here 26 odd years ago, I lived out in the other end of the county, but I always wanted to live towards Hunt because it's magical. You drive down Highway 39 and it's just magical. And I was very fortunate past April or May, I believe, and I got a little cottage towards Hunt, and now I have that magical place. So I love my drive every day.
Well, let me tell you how magical I think it is. In 1967, I attended Camp Stewart, and 68 as well. And I thought the Hill Country was the most beautiful place I'd ever been. And I said, if I ever had the chance, I'd move back. And so literally 50 years ago, I had my first taste of the Hill Country. And I finally got the chance to move here in April. So I know of whence you speak. But that really brings up something I wanted to maybe visit with you a little bit. You mentioned some of the attractions of West Kerr County, and certainly camping. I don't know if you'd call it non-co-ed camping, boys camps, girls camps, lots of camps where the emphasis is on children. So, for instance, Camp Stewart, one of the things they say is be a great boy. Don't wait to be a great man. I have to assume Camp Mystic and Waldemere and the girls' camps also have that same sort of focus. But it really gives parents and the kids an opportunity to experience new and different things, but also lots of leadership lessons as well. Would that be a fair assessment?
It's just such a wonderful experience to be part of this community and to know these camps and the people who represent them and run them. And everybody has one goal in mind, the kid. And coming from an educational background, that means a lot to me.
But there's so much more in the West Kerr County. So if we didn't go to Hunt, we maybe move, at least drove towards Junction. We'd pass Mountain Home and some other places with what I see are just stunning views, both on top of a mountain, but also in the valleys. So I was wondering if you could say a few words about just the beauty of what you see in West Kerr County.
Look at the river and those cypress trees and the overflowing vegetation that is not in a bad way, but just the natural beauty of it. And then, as you're going down, you've got the river on one side and you've got the mountains on the other. I mean, where else would you want to be but here? And that's why I stay, is because I absolutely love it. And it's just not that, it's the people.
One of the things that struck me when I went to Camp Stewart was Joy Bluff, which was just the bluff on the river right across from where the campers stayed. But those bluffs are along the river the whole way, and they're sheer cliffs up. I wouldn't say they're spectacularly high. They really are bluffs. But they have some of the most gorgeous views looking up to the bluffs, and if you happen to be on the top looking down. Is that part of the West Kerr County experience as well?
It is. It is. It's just, you see so many different terrains here. It's just, you get all of it right here in Kerr County.
So maybe we could turn now to the West Kerr County Chamber of Commerce and ask you, how long has it been around, and really what's the mission of the West Kerr County Chamber of Commerce?
Well, it was started in 1979, and it was originally called the Citizens Chamber of West County. West Kerr County, I'm sorry. And it was organized by a group of merchants and business owners. And they had one goal in mind. It was they wanted to get actively involved with other merchants and individuals and wanted to serve the community. And right now we have approximately 200 members.
So could you give us maybe an example of the breadth and scope of the merchants? And I would just say you could drive through Ingram and probably get that, but you've got small business owners, you have restaurant owners, you have construction companies, and really everything in between. So who are some of the members of the West Kerr County Chamber of Commerce?
Well, just like you said, they're members. They're restaurants, small business owners, but also we have members who are from Kerrville, not just West Kerr County, but from Kerrville, who have patrons from West Kerr County. And so we really are a broad scope here. But the restaurants, I don't know if you've been to some of our restaurants out here, but they're unique. You know, you've got Southern Sky Music Cafe right there on the beautiful river, and they have local music, you know, and it's really nice. We have a wine bar, we have a bakery, we have a glass blower now. Not sure he's opened up, but I keep watching that building. And these are all like-minded people who believe in this part of the county and who want to see it grow.
You mentioned the musicians, and I've really been intrigued by the local music scene, and with the emphasis on the word local. So I've been to, there's a restaurant in Hunt that had music during the summer that my wife and I would go out every Thursday night. There are a variety of other restaurants in West Kerr County that also have music. But I was wondering if you might say a few words really about the local musicians and what they bring to the county.
Various genres, and they're good. They're really good. But it makes you feel good that you see a musician on stage, but then you get to see him at the grocery store, you know, and everybody knows everybody. But they're so dedicated and passionate about their music that it just overflows into their personal life.
The grocery stores. Mm-hmm. I can't remember the name of the grocery store down at the stoplight.
Old Ingram.
Old Ingram. And my wife and I stopped there after going up to Mountain Home. And they had a section of food that was clearly made by local bakeries or probably people in their homes, cooking up cookies, cooking up cakes and pies. So it seemed to have not just a local flavor, but actually local products in there. And I just thought that was the coolest thing. Is that also something that you see here?
It is. It is. And where else do you see that? You don't. But if you've ever noticed, they have a banner out front that they buy homegrown vegetables or produce. Right. And you don't see that at H-E-B. Nothing against H-E-B. We love H-E-B, but you just don't see it. That's what you get, that home flavor here.
So let me turn back to the chamber itself. And how does the West Kerr County Chamber of Commerce really help businesses in this part of Kerr County?
Well, we do a lot. And since I've been here, which is only since July, I've been trying to grow that part. So we promote them. And you came by our booth at the Arts and Crafts Fair, and I had promotional items from various members of the chamber that we gave out. Everything in our booth was free. It was the only booth that could say that. But anyway, so we do promote our businesses because I want the chamber and the board, we want the chamber to have businesses feel like we're doing something for them. You know, we just don't want you to be a member. We want to serve you and promote you. And so we hand out flyers there. But we also, if you have something special going on at your business, let me know. I'll send out an email blast, or I'll post it on Facebook. If you need help, you know, if you're hiring, send me a flyer, or I'll make the flyer, and I'll send it out as an email blast, but also post it on Facebook too. So I'm looking at how we can help our members.
So one thing that struck me about the craft fair, if I could go back to that where we actually met, my wife and I bought, how can I describe it? Oh, just a pool with water running through it, whatever that might be called.
The leaf?
Yes. But in talking to the artist who created them, the woman who was there, it was her first in-person event in nearly 18 months, and she sold out of her stock. And in walking around and talking to some of the other artists, they were just so happy to be in a live event again. And it really led me to wonder how, as we come out of this last phase of COVID, so much of West Kerr County is about tourism, is about artists, is about communicating through the word, through art, through sculpture, through people who carve wood, and really selling things. Do you see that both on the artist side, they're ready to get back to business as usual, and on the customer side, people want to come and see the things that people have created over the last 18 months and buy them?
They do. Everybody is so tired of COVID. We're ready to be out, and we had such beautiful weekends for the Arts and Crafts Fair. I mean, it was perfect weekend, and people were out, and but still I noticed that they were being cautious too. And, that's one, the people that came by my booth, they were just so excited to be there, and the children running and playing and so happy. And, of course, my main goal was to give exposure to our members, and we certainly did. I don't know if you noticed all those little sunglasses going around from the Hill Country Telephone Company that gave out. The kids loved them, but people are ready to be out, and they honestly. At the Celtic Festival, I think we had about 800 people maybe at that one. And the booth next to me, he said he had the best sales that weekend, that day, than he had ever had in many. And, I noticed that it seemed to me like inventory was up. So I think they spent a lot of time during the isolation periods building their inventory. But, boy, did they have some great stuff.
We both talked about how we both fell in love with West Kerr County. And for me, it was Hunt and the Camp Stewart, and for you as well. But if someone asked you, why should they consider moving to West Kerr County, what would you say to them?
All of the above. There's no reason not to move here. But, it's a beautiful part of the county, and the internet service has gotten so much better. That's one of the things that really deters people from going to places that are a little more remote, though I'm not saying we're remote by any means, but we do have a lot of land out there. And these people who are buying ranches or buying places further out, they're finding they can get the fiber optics out there too. But another thing is we have some excellent schools. Ingram ISD and Hunt ISD are fabulous. Ingram's an award-winning school, and people want to move here just to get into the school.
So my mother retired with 35 years of service teaching elementary kids, and now that I know you're a former elementary school teacher, I'm going to say you know what you're talking about when it comes to schools. But that really leads me to one thing we may not have focused as much on, and that's the people. And that's the people of West Kerr County. And so I come from Houston, obviously the big city, and very different. But it is this part of Texas is just the friendliest place, and people will sit down and talk to you. For instance, at the Arts and Craft Fair, we shared a table with several other couples, my wife and I, and we all talked about what we enjoyed about the craft fair, but other fairs or other events. And some of the older people told us, well, here's kind of the cadence of events throughout the year. And someone was from the Youth Symphony, so they told us a little bit about that. And I found the people just to be as friendly as you could imagine here. Is that also something you'd agree with?
Oh, it is. The point, at Stonehenge, the Arts Foundation, they have theatrical plays that are fabulous. And, when you go, everybody knows everybody in the audience. Where can you say that? People are waving to each other across the way. And it's just, I'm not going to say family, but it's sort of family-like. It's just everybody's part of the community. And that's the lovely thing about being in a small community, is that you do know your neighbors and you do know the people when you go somewhere. And, you walk into a store and they go, "Hey, Karen," and that's nice. It feels good.
So what would you say is the business climate of West Kerr County?
Have you been down on the Loop, in the Loop area?
Absolutely.
We're seeing some
Yes,
Loop area
absolutely.
remodeling of some older rock buildings.
Right.
We have the new 323 Bakery and Gardens on the Loop. We have a wine bar, Joanne Marie and me, but we're also getting another new wine bar, and that one's called Down on the Loop. The glass blower I told you about. So we're growing, and in a good way. We're getting some, like the glass blower. There's not another one in Kirk County. And, I can remember when I was getting my doctorate in Texas State, going over to Wimberley just to watch the glass blower. And now I can do it in my backyard. And so, but we are growing, and it's really exciting. People say we could be another Fredericksburg or Green, Texas.
I certainly would second that. So as you now know, I'm a relatively new business owner to Kerr County, and since I live west of Kerrville, I can say I live in West Kerr County. Why should I join the West Kerr County Chamber of Commerce?
Well, you want to be a part of an amazing Chamber of Commerce because we network with each other, and we have monthly mixers, and they're at one of our members' places of business, and it's a social gathering. We have refreshments and snacks, but it's a social gathering where you can be around people of like minds about growing our county in a productive and positive way. And that's really what we want to be about. And it's, you get networking, socializing, it all is cohesive in a way. It's a way to talk to other business owners and see what they're doing. You also get to tell the group what your business is about and why you're doing what you're doing. And it's a way of getting to know each other in a semi-professional way, but still getting to know about what's going on in the community and how we're going to grow.
Let me turn back to last February when we had the big freeze. I didn't know till I moved here the impact it had in the Hill Country and Kerr County. In Houston, we lost power intermittently for 3 days, but you guys had it much, much worse. What would you say are some of the lessons learned that I should take away or others should take away from that event going forward?
That we have some amazing fire departments. Mountain Home was hit very, very hard. They were out, I know one person was out of electricity for a month. And our local fire departments were amazing. The work they did out on Interstate 10, and then assisting people in the area who needed help. And in fact, the chamber gave part of its profits to the local fire departments from their annual mixer and fundraiser. And so from that banquet, they gave portion of their profits to the fire departments. And in fact, the Mountain Home Fire Department chief was our Citizen of the Year. Yeah, I mean, the impact they did, and they went above and beyond helping the community in need.
So, Karen, unfortunately, we're near the end of our time, but before we leave, I was wondering if anyone wanted any more information on any of the topics we've touched on, or if they wanted to look at the West Chamber of Commerce perhaps joining, or they just wanted more information, where could they go?
Go to our website, and it's the West Kerr County Chamber of Commerce, and you can get all of our information there. Call our office phone, which is 830-367-4322, or look us up on our Facebook page. And I always send me an email. I always answer it. And call. I answer calls at 8 at night, too.
Well, Karen, I wanted to thank you again for taking the time to visit with me. I loved meeting you at the Arts and Crafts Fair, and I look forward to visiting with you again.
I do too. Thank you. And thank you for coming to Kerrville. We're Ingram. We're happy to have you in our Kerr County area.
Much more hands-on. In the camping world, we call them helicopter parents because they want to micromanage, where our philosophy is that the children are in a protected environment. This is their opportunity to make mistakes, to learn new skills. I can remember when one of the counselors came to me several years ago and he said, "Kathy, I need to talk to you about so-and-so." He just got into an altercation with somebody, and I looked at him and I said, "That's the most wonderful thing I've ever heard," because this child had been expected to be perfect all of his life. And it was his first opportunity to stand up for himself and to learn who he was. We do not condone altercations, but in some instances, that's good. And you just have to recognize that basically little boys are still the same. They're not as tough as they were, and they mature later than in many of the practical ways than they did 55 years ago. I have a hard time realizing I just finished my 55th summer here, but they're basically still the same. They're wonderful, they're honest, they tell it the way they see it. They're great.
So the Ragsdale family still runs Camp Stewart. You've stepped back from the day-to-day operations. Tell us about who's running it now for the Ragsdale family.
Jeeper runs it now. He was born here just before you came in 1968. Actually, he was born in Kerrville in the hospital, but he was born May of 68. And so he literally grew up here. Sinai did not expect or demand that he take over the camp when he and Jane started approaching, let's say, adulthood, but, mid-20s. We sat down with each of them separately and said, "Now, what do you want to do?" Because what you want to do determines how we proceed with estate planning, because there were at that time 2 other siblings, neither of whom were involved in the camps, and we needed to know in what direction, because camping's hard. I always called it a jealous mistress. And you are on call 9 days a week, 30 hours a day when camp's in session. And you have the responsibility for all those many little boys. And it's not just the campers, it's the counselors. It's like a small city. You've got the water, you've got the sewerage, you've got the food service, you've got the laundry. It's everything. It's not just the canteen and going to activities. And so each of them Jane and Jeeper came back and said, this is what we want to do. I remember Jeeper's comment because we were in Monterrey, Mexico, at a horse show. And at that time, Jeeper was still competing, and he was at Olympic level, and he had to make the decision whether he turned pro and pursued a jumping career or whether he came back and worked at camp. And he said, I remember his words exactly, why would I want to do anything but camp? It is the best of all worlds. He said, now, if I won the lottery, I'd hire a really good person to recruit during the winter months and do all that. And I'd go to Europe and jump, but I'd be there in the summer to run camp. So he has a passion for it, and hopefully Cy the Fourth, his son, who's now 13, will have a passion. But that's an unknown, and you can't dictate what they're going to do, because if their passion is not for camping, it's not going to be successful.
So we started out our podcast, you telling us about the founding of Camp Stewart, and that really brings me to our last topic, which is you've got a big birthday party coming up in 2024. Could you tell us what that is and maybe preview what you might be able to do?
Well, we're still thinking about what we'll do. 24 is 100 years. But in the camping world, we really count summers. So 2023 is our 100th summer. And so we've been, for the last 2 years, brainstorming on ideas and an emblem to commemorate 100 summers. We always say Camp Stewart is the oldest continually operated private camp in the Southwest, because it has operated continuously throughout the Depression, throughout the polio, throughout the wars. Uncle Bill was innovative during the war with shortages. He planted a big garden, and the older boys, he would have work so many hours a day, and you could ask him before his death about, well, Uncle Bill so-and-so said he was a work boy and worked in the garden. He said, Kathy, he didn't work. He was supposed to, but I knew when he was supposed to be working in the garden right where to go find him asleep in the corn rows. And so they... but he did that. He put in a dairy. There was the Stewart Dairy. And so you just have to be innovative. And I'm not sure what all we do. We'll do something probably in 23 and 24, because one's years, one's summers. But to me, the summer's the big thing.
So as we also started out, I said that the thing that I remembered was the hill country. And obviously, Joy Bluff is number one, the water. But I didn't just fall in love with the hill country being on Camp Stewart. We went on camping trips. We went and looked at archaeological sites. We drove in a lot of different places in the hill country. We even had a Kerrville night, so that I got to see the hill country, and that's what I fell in love with. Is that the kind of thing you hear from people?
Yes. Yeah.
So unfortunately, we're near the end of our time, Kathy, but if anyone wanted to find out more about Camp Stewart, what would be the best place they could go?
Oh, go to www.campstewart.com or pick up the telephone and call 830-238-4670. If a person in the Camp Stewart office doesn't answer it, it will be a person at an answering service that has answered Stewart's nighttime calls for almost 30 years. So that's the way, and we hope they will. We try to have the very best camping program possible for little boys so that they can develop into being the best they can be. Stewart's motto when we got here was, "Don't wait to be a man to be great. Be a great boy." And then a friend a few years ago sent me one that says, "Build better boys. Don't fix broken men." And I thought, if we do our job, we help boys develop into the best they can be. And that's the goal. Help each little boy be the best he can be, whatever that is.
Well, Kathy, I wanted to thank you again, and hopefully I'll be able to continue this conversation with you into 23, 24, and beyond.
Oh, that'd be fun. I hope I'm still here to do it.
All right,
Thank you, Tom.
This is Tom Fox again. Thank you so much for listening to this episode of the Hill Country Podcast. We're going to link to Camp Stewart in the show notes. If you have young boys, I can't tell you enough what a great experience Camp Stewart is in 2021, and it will be as it was in 1967. So thanks again, and I hope you'll join me again for my next episode in the Hill Country Podcast, where I explore the people, places, and things that make the Hill Country the most unique part of the great state of Texas.